We call ourselves Bay Area Sea Kayakers, and tonight we're going to hear from some members that kind of stretch the limits of Bay Area. Jenny Zhang from Vancouver, British Columbia, and Morris Ho from Laguna Beach, and a special guest, Warren Williamson. Now, Jenny really was the initiator of this talk. You may recall she talked to us last fall, I believe it was, about her self-supported trip down the Grand Canyon, which was a quite exciting story. And not long after, she approached me about sharing her tales of Skookumchuck. And she wanted to, as she did with the Grand Canyon, she wanted to bring in some colleagues who could kind of share different perspectives. And so Morris Ho is a longtime BASK member. Many of you older members remember him from before he moved down south. And he's a boat builder. He's built many wooden boats, is really into kayak surfing and paddling, and was really a mentor to Jenny when she was down in San Diego. And Jenny is paddling some of Morris's boats, which is great. And Warren Williamson is from Anacortes, Washington. He's a well-known kayak and small boat designer, and he's built many, many, many wooden kayaks. And he's quite well known for his paddling of Skookumchuck and Deception Pass over the recent decades. And there's just amazing videos online on YouTube of and his Facebook page of his adventures there. So we're going to have quite a range of experience to hear from, and take it away, Jenny.
Sure. Yeah, I'm very happy to be here together with Warren and Morris to share with BASK member about our Skookumchuck surfing experience. I will share screen. And then play. So can everyone see my slides now?
Yes.
Okay, great. So today's presentation will mainly be two-part. One part, I will ask a lot of questions with Morris, and it's like interview Morris and Warren, and they will answer this question. And another part would be more like logistic part to talk about how to travel to Skook, how to paddle to Skook, the hiking, the lodge, like camping, etc. So let's first start with the video showing us where Skookumchuck is. So Skookumchuck is in British Columbia, and where's Vancouver, near Vancouver and Vancouver Island, and it's actually located in Sunshine Coast. In this map, you can see several inlets. There's Seashell Inlet, Salmon Inlet, and Narrow Inlet. And all this water have to go through this narrow bottleneck narrow area, and that's Skookumchuck Narrow Provincial Park. And if we zoom in it a little bit more, you can see there's a few islands, and there's two viewing points, and the Roland Point viewing area is where people surf Skook wave. Okay, let me show again. Next page. So the Skookumchuck is one of the fastest tidal rapids on Earth. On the 3-meter tide, the amount of water going through the narrow, it will create like a 2-meter height difference on the both sides of the narrow, and the current can be as fast as 17 knots. It's like 30 kilometers per hour. So now let's look a video that's showing Warren and me and Morris surfing. The next part of that day is Okay, I don't know whether you can hear that at the last part when Molly's on the wave, like the entire group are cheering for him. Because I think that was the first day Molly's on the wave and was able to surf on the wave, so people are all very excited. Okay, let's go back to the slides. All right. So as Tom had mentioned, that Warren has been surfing at Skook for decades. So now let's ask Warren to share his Skook experience. Like when was your first time to surf Skook, and how long have you been surfing at Skookumchuck?
Okay, so can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, so my first time was like maybe 2003. And the first time I went there, I didn't have any surfing experience. So I didn't do very well. If you have surfing experience like you guys down on the coast in San Francisco, just like Morris, you saw him, he got on. That was the first time he was there, and he got on the wave. And so typically, when you go there and you have some experience, you can get on the wave pretty good. For me, I was able to get on a little bit and stay on for a few seconds, and then I'd get kicked off. But it changed pretty quick. Like the second time I went there, I pretty much figured it out. And I really got hooked on it immediately. And I don't even know how many times I've been there. And I went there a lot. And then I didn't go there for about 8 years. And then this past summer was the first time that I went there in 8 years. And I went 4 times this past summer. And that's when I met Jenny and Morris. And it definitely is a lot of fun to go there.
Yeah, that's very impressive that you have been serving there for like more than 20 years. For me, my first time to Skook was last July, and has been almost a year now. Was my first weekend actually when I first arrived at Vancouver. That weekend I went to Skook because I was just so looking forward to surf this perfect wave. So I went there with uh, Deep Cove kayak instructor, Mike Gill, and the other instructor. And then I just watched them, learn from them how to Skook, how to surf at Skook. So it was amazing experience. And Morris, when was your last Skook trip?
Well, my first school trip was just last year, late August. I was taking advantage of you being there, so I flew up and we met in North Vancouver, and we just drove directly to the campgrounds, arriving in the evening, and then the next morning we met with Mike Gill, who I hired for 3 days as a personal guide. And it was an effort to just get up to speed very quickly, since I knew this was probably my first and only trip there. So I wanted to make the most out of my trip. And eventually I got on the wave. You'll see that I have uh, quite a bit of difficulty getting on because I didn't know what to expect. I know it was very similar to doing a jet ferry and surfing a wave like barking dog on the river, but it's totally different. First of all, we're in a sea kayak, and the waves are so beautiful there and consistent. So I really enjoyed myself. Meeting Warren was another highlight of that trip.
Yeah, I remember that weekend we spent 3 days surfing Skook. It was a great time. So next question people might have is like, we know that the Skookum wave is because of there's a fast current coming through a narrow place, so there will be flood and ebb. So Warren, can you answer this question that can we at Skook, can we surf both flood and ebb, or we can only surf like why we can only surf one of them?
Yeah, it's only the flood that kicks up a wave. And it's just the way that, like looking at the picture right there, it's just the way the flood water comes in and it hits a ledge underwater there and kicks up that wave. On the ebb, nobody, nobody very rarely, people very rarely paddle the ebb. There's definitely a lot of features there on the ebb. You know, it gets huge, just like the flood, and there would be lots of places to challenge whirlpools and boils. And so if you want to do that, you know, if you're there on a day where you're kind of waiting for the ebb to be done before you go to the flood, you can go check out the ebb. There's no surfing on the ebb though. The only surfing is on the flood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually never paddle the ebb because I heard that during the ebb that the whirlpool can be very very big, and but no, there's no wave that you can surf. The next question I have here, I can answer it myself. Like how long does it take for wave to build up at Skook? It depends on the max current of that day. If the current is like 7 or 8 knots, it might take like an hour to from the slack that you can start surfing. But if the current is very fast, like 13 knots that day, it might just take 30 minutes. Like 30 minutes ago, it's completely flat, and then 30 minutes later, there's already wave you can surf. So it changed and it depends. But once the wave get to the max, it die down usually faster than when it build up. Like then you can surf longer when the wave from the slack to the max, but when the wave die down, it died down faster as at some point the tide is just too high for the wave to be surfable. So next question is, we know like you can only surf the flood, but what's like the target current speed for you, Warren? Like look at this picture that's on the left side, it's a 9.6 flood. The wave is shallower, and on the right side, this one is 13.9 knot flood, and the wave is much bigger and more foam pile, right? But for you as a sea kayaker, what is your target current speed?
So for for longboats for sea kayaking, you want I mean you can surf smaller ones, say like 7, 8 knots, but what I try to target is nine.
Got into the meeting.
Pardon? What I target is 9 to 10 knot flood.
Want to go?
I'm sorry, am I coming in okay?
Yeah, I think that might be.
You are. Someone else is speaking up. They need to go on mute. Just carry on, Warren.
Okay, so what I look for is a flood that is 9 to 10 knots. And it you know, you also have to pay attention to the ebb before the flood. Like if it's a typically the ebb is going to match the flood, and that's what you want. If the ebb is like really small and you have a 9 knot flood, it won't be as big of a wave as you're looking for. And so that's the way it works for sea kayak. And then after 10 knots, it definitely starts to break. Like you're still going to have a green wave at the beginning, and then it's going to break. Like it could break and stay into a foam pile for an hour, say like a little bit over 10 knots, say like 10.5 knots. Anything up from that, it's, you know, just like the picture of Jenny there with when it was 13 plus, it's just going to be a massive foam pile all day. So that is for the small kayaks, and the 9 to 10 knot flood is for sea kayaks.
Yes. So I just want to show like this table, how we usually check the current table for Skookumchuck. So if you Google Skookumchuck current speed, you will find this directly website. It's pretty accurate. And this is just an example as showing the current of this week. So yesterday, Tuesday, you can see that 6.7 F. That means at 1:42 p.m. in the afternoon, the max flood, F means flood, is 6.7 knot. And I think this is a perfect speed for beginner, for first timer who hasn't been to Skook. This is very friendly flow to try to get the feeling of that and practice your skill. And today, just this afternoon, is 9.1 knot is what Warren said, the perfect wave, perfect speed he will aim for. And as the example, you can see here the ebb before this. Today the ebb in 8:15 a.m. is minus 11.5. That's the ebbing, and it's a big ebbing as well. So we need this ebbing to be similar number as the flood to have a good wave. If the ebbing is too small, that means the tide might be too high, and then we won't get as good as wave. And then later this week, tomorrow, 11.3, and then Friday will be 13 knot, Saturday 14, and Sunday it will reach 15 knot this Sunday. Maybe I will be there, I don't know. So all this week from Tuesday to Sunday is good wave, like people can surf it. It just depends on your skill, right? Also depends on your which kayak you take. So this is like the table Warren just mentioned. For 7 to 9 knot would be perfect for sea kayaker. 9 to 12 knot, then waves start breaking, it gets steeper, so it be wild water wave, surf kayak wave. Above 12, it will break for a long time, like foam pile, good for playable. Maybe surf kayak, and above 15 knot, it's huge. It's we call it big Skook, and only a very few people, very experienced sea kayaker and surf kayaker, and maybe even a board surfer, they will go to Skook. Only those top people, because at that time wave would be huge, and then the downstream, all the boils and whirlpool would be also huge. Okay, there's another website people can check here for Skook Wave. I just put link here, so I'm not going to talk more about it. So another question people might have is, like, the tide usually, like, not this week is a good Skook week. That means in 2 weeks it will be good again, right? That's how tide work. But can we surf Skook all year round? Warren, can you answer this question?
I don't think it's very doable. The tides are just different. I don't even pay attention to it, but when we were talking the other day about this, you were telling me that, you look at it all year and
Yes.
the tides just aren't there for the winter time. And also the water level is a lot higher in the winter time. So you would need, just to get a green wave without foam power, you would need more than 10 knots. And also it's pretty cold up there in the wintertime.
Yes.
So is that true what I'm thinking, that you were telling me that you just didn't see any good currents in the wintertime?
Yes. So last year, the last time I surfed Skook is November 1st. And I think after that, there might be another weekend. But after that, there's no window. Entire winter from December to April, I couldn't find any good Skook surfing window. Mostly reason is because in the winter, the day was short, right? So most good wave happen in midnight. So nobody's going to surf it at night. And the day was too short, so we got less surfing window in the winter. And another reason, you can see here this picture showing the March. This spring I went to Skook with how the max current is 8 knots, so it's good current speed, but the tide was too high, so there's no wave, there's just fast moving water. So I think that's the most time in the winter, it just cannot find any good wave. But in the summer, usually from April, May, and then entire summer until October, November, there's a lot of window. Usually every 2 weeks you can go and surf Skook. And because we have longer day. All right, so now we know how to look at the table to decide when to go to Skook. I want to share about the travel to Skook. For example, like for me, I live in North Vancouver. To travel to Skook, I need to first drive 20 minutes to Horseshoe Bay Ferry Terminal, and then take a 45-minute ferry from Horseshoe Bay to Lawndale Terminal. And once I arrive Sunshine Coast, I have to drive an hour, 20 minutes to Egremont. Egremont is a very small town. And then because I still need to wait in the ferry terminal, usually arrive 30 minutes or 45 minutes ahead of time. So the total time for me to travel to Skook is 3 to 4 hours one way. So I usually like to do like a weekend trip. One day trip is doable, but just lots of driving and on the road. So this picture shows BC Ferry I took last year, and it's pretty amazing for me, like to drive your car with kayak on top to the ferry directly. It's kind of unique experience for me. And also the view on the ferry is amazing. You can see all the mountains with snow on top and all these little islands. So it's just beautiful. And this the picture I took on my drive to Egremont. I think it was the first trip I did. And in the background, you can see like those mountains actually are Vancouver Island. All right, so once you arrive Egremont town, you are still 3 kilometers away from Skook. Because there's no way you can drive to Skook directly, there's only 2 options for you. One option is you can paddle to Skook. It would be 3 kilometers, like 2 miles of paddling, and usually would take 35 minutes to 50 minutes, depends on the current speed, right? If usually we do this paddle around slack, so it's pretty calm, easy paddle, very relaxing and beautiful. Another option for you to travel to Skook is hiking. I will talk this at the end of this presentation. So for paddling to Skook, we will launch from this Egremont dock. It is a public dock. And this, I'm going to show some pictures of the paddle. It's a beautiful paddle. Here in this picture, it's showing the north point of the Skookumchuck viewing point. This picture was took last summer. And this is the autumn. I paddle with a few friends in short boat. And then this is March this year. The paddle I did this, it was sunrise, during sunrise. And this is my last trip last month. We paddled to Skook. And one thing I really like about this paddle, because we paddle it during slack time. It's like when the tide is lowest. And then the water is so clear, so you can see a lot of starfish and marine life in the water. I have never seen so many starfish in anywhere else. Different color, different shape, and just hundreds of them. And the reason is because of this massive tidal exchange. So the water is keeping flushing in and out and bring a lot of oxygen and nutrition. So that's why there's a lot of marine life in the water. We also see like bald eagle and like dolphin at Skook. There was once I saw a few dolphins surfing at Skook Wave behind kayakers. So that was pretty amazing experience. Okay, so after 30 minutes paddle, you arrive at Skook. We land at the Roland Point viewing area, and this area has a huge rock. So this place people can rest, but usually we land here and then we will take everything out of our boat. So we have an empty kayak to surf later, and people will stretch their leg and eat some snacks and just relax and enjoying the view, and then watch the water to build up. So next, I'm going to show a short video of this area. I think this video was taken when it's at slack. So you can see there's no wave at this time. Water is so flat with minimum movement. But just in like half hour or 1 hour, it will change completely. And I'm going to show another video. this video was taken at next lab. That day is lab 7 lab. I think that's 7 lab. You see that's how it was with there's a bunch of people there as well. So in the summer, like during weekends, there might be lots of people hiking, take the trail and hike to watch Skook wave. So as a kayaker there, you will have a lot of audience to watch you surf and cheer for you as well. All right. Okay, so now we arrived Skook and then we are ready to surf. I'm going to share with you about some Skook elements. So these pictures, that's somebody on a wave. That's the main wave of Skook. And then 2 kayaker in the eddy, and the red line draw the eddy line, right? And then there's second wave. People may be able to surf as well, and that's a large area of downstream of Skook with those buoys and whirlpools. So I think some people may have watched like lots of YouTube video, like those kayakers surfing Skook, like effortlessly, very relaxing, just like what I showed the video at the beginning of this presentation. But that's not always the case. When someone first arrives Skook, it might take them a few days or like sometimes to manage their skills. Maybe let's look at another video to show this. Okay. So this is water that got rejected by the last turn. He crossed the eddy line, but heading downstream directly without getting on the way. For example, this kayaker crossed the eddy line, wasn't able to get on the wave, and he heading down. I able to stay on the wave, and now I'm facing all this wave downstream, back to the edge as soon as possible. So that's like behind. This is just video just show what's behind all this scene that people can surf effortlessly at Skook. So now why not let's ask more let's ask Warren to share with us some tips for first-time kayaker how to surf at Skook wave.
First-time kayaker, well, as you can see in those videos where people didn't make it, you know, one way or another, they got broached off or went to the left. The perfect angle is the secret, you know. So if you just watch some other kayakers and just go up there and try to dial in your perfect angle, that's what's going to get you on the wave. And a little technique that I have, if you like that first video of me that you saw right when I was jumping over the eddy line fence, you could see that I kind of leaned back. And the reason I do that is to take some weight off of the bow so the oncoming water doesn't catch me and throw me to the right. So the big secret is, or not the big secret, but something to have in mind when you go there as a first timer there, you know, when the wave first starts, that's for you. If you're the first time, if you're the first time there at Skook, that is your time to get on that wave, to try to get on the wave and figure it out. And so what you want to do is to be aggressive and just keep jumping over that eddy line and trying to get on, because that's when you're going to develop your skill, because the wave is only going to get a lot bigger. And if you don't figure it out when it's small, you're probably not going to figure out when it gets big, figure it out when it gets bigger. So how does that sound, Jenny?
Yes, I think what you said just remind me that my experience at Skook. I remember my first day at Skook, I met you and you just keep encouraging me, right? Like you just told me that you can do that, just keep trying it. So I remember my first day, I might give it like 30 attempt, like try to peel out and stay on the wave like 30 times, even though I actually couldn't stay there even for one time, more than 10 seconds. Just keep practicing. I think I did maybe 5 combat row that day, and I did lots of tool that day as well. So definitely trying as much as possible. Like it just need time to get used to it, right? So like there's a question I put it here, like how long does it take you to master Skook surfing? For me personally, it took me 5 days, 3 trip to surf Skook, and finally I was able to master it. I'm still learning it right now, but I was able to do it fairly easily now with short bow. Yeah, so I think what you said totally makes sense. And Morris, do you have anything you want to share with people about surfing Skook?
Not really. I think you and Warren have described it perfectly. It just what I have in my mind is just to concentrate on the correct angle and continue to paddle hard. I mean, if you've never pedaled hard in your life, you really have to get into that action and get over that initial what do they call it, the eddy fence. So it is a fence. It's a very potential way, a potential energy barrier there right up at the entry. So you need to get over that and be able to guide your kayak over to the wave.
Yes, you're right. So I have a picture here about peeling out at the eddy. This is me in a kayak. So I know some people have whitewater kayaking experience, and that really apply to Skook. So like go out, you want to have your angle 30 to 45 degree, and then you want to paddle hard with commitment and powerful forward stroke to punch through the eddy line. And also you want to leave your upstream knee to keep the upstream edge. And then you will figure out over time like what's the best angle. For sea kayak is less forgiving, but for whitewater boat it's more forgiving. So yeah, just need time to figure it out. And next question, I think is more interesting question, and it's mainly for comparing Skook wave and ocean wave. Like I know Morris, like you have been surfing ocean wave for like decades, and Skook is new to you. And could you tell us like what's the difference between like standing wave like Skookumchuck wave and the traveling wave like ocean wave, and also like the tide racing wave?
Okay. Well, the ocean wave is typically what you find at places like Dillon Beach and Bolinas. So any surfer probably is quite familiar with how to do that. You know, the waves come in are generated by storms, and you have to sit and wait for the right set and the right size. So a lot of times you're not even in the right position. So it's a little tricky there to learn how to do that. And then once you get on the wave, it's only a 10 to 20 second ride. And then you have to worry about how to get off. You turn back outside before the wave breaks, or you ride a breaking wave back into the beach. And a Skook wave is similar in a sense, but the waves are created locally by the flood and the bathymetry of the site. So there's rock formations that create this wave. It's a very consistent wave. A stable green section, and at bigger currents, you got a stable breaking section. So it's kind of fun. You don't, you see the water moving under you, but relative to the spectators, you're not going anywhere. So it's like a treadmill. It almost seems like there's a machine upstream generating the wave for you for free. So, but that's nature at its best. And then getting on the wave, it's a peel out with consistent and concerted effort, and you need to control your angle as well. Typically, they surf on the first upstream wave, and then you can have you can enjoy the wave for an unlimited time until someone else wants to get on. Then you'd probably let them on. Although I've seen it where a number of experienced people would just invite others so they can have a party wave. And then you're at the end of when you get ready to get off, you're either swept off because you forget to maintain your angle, or you intentionally eddy out back into the crowded eddy. And finally, the tide race wave is what you find at Yellow Bluff. Again, it's a wave created by the local currents. However, it's very chaotic and short-lived. So there isn't a wave long enough for you to do a good surfing run. However, I found that it's a good place to practice peeling out, eddy out, and a good place to practice how to self-rescue when you take the tour. So I think Yellow Bluff is a perfect place to pretty much practice a lot of the skills required at Skook.
Mm-hmm. Yes. One thing I want to point out is I really like the predictable of Skook wave, that you don't need to look at weather forecast. You don't need to keep your eyes on the surf forecast and a few days and the night before and see. And sometimes that make me so frustrated that you want to go surfing, but the forecast doesn't cooperate, right? Like the condition is not just what you want. But for Skook, it's so predictable. You can look at the current table and plan your trip monthly ahead, like 2-3 months ahead of time. You can book your flight and book all the hotel and arrange everything, and the wave will be there for you. It's like so predictable and so perfect. And if you have more knowledge about like how to look at the current table to find the perfect wave, so I think that's what I like the most. And also another thing I want to mention now is for like ocean wave, it will break. Sometimes it will dump all the energy on you. And Skook wave it will not dump the energy at once. That might be foam pile, you might be trapped there, but it's different from like that entire release of energy. So in that way, I feel like the ocean wave sometimes is more powerful and or more dangerous, I would say. But I totally agree with what Morris has shared. So I put Morris' notes here. So in case people want to read it later, I will also share these slides later. Okay, so next questions is what Morris has asked me before, like what is the surf etiquette at Skook? You know, like when surfing ocean wave, there is like the right of way. Whoever is closer to the peak, to the green, to the pocket, who has that right? And also that might be a lot of lined up. Sometimes it can be stressful in surfing somewhere like Santa Cruz. How about Skook, right? What's the etiquette? What do you learn, Morris? Morris?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, do you want to share about what you learned about surf etiquette at Skook?
Oh, I did mention it earlier that the wave is typically what you see in the videos is just one person on the wave, but you could get on and maybe surf a minute or so if the number of people waiting in line is large. So then you just get off and wave the next guy in. Or if you intend to stay longer, you can actually wave them in with your head. You just flip your head, and that's an invitation for others to join you.
Yes. So I think the surf etiquette at Skook is more friendly compared to ocean wave, because the wave is there like usually during surfing a day, there will be like 2-3 hours that wave it will be there and people can surf it. And even there you might have 20 people, it will end up everyone get to share 10 minutes of wave. That's a long time. I never actually, I think that's only one time I surfed at Bolinas. The total time add up more than 10 minutes. But usually it's enough, I would say. And so that's enough of wave for everyone to share. And usually we will encourage people who is like beginner, not that good at Skook. We will encourage them to go on the wave and try as much as possible, because most time they couldn't stay there at all. When they try, they will just fall off the wave immediately. And for people who are more experienced, they tend to share and party surf. And there is lineup, but I would say pretty loose. Yeah, people are usually very friendly and encourage whoever want to go up and surf. And as for this question, how long can you stay on the wave? I say it depends on your ability, right? If you are not good, you might not stay there for 10 seconds. But Warren, you mentioned there was once you surfed there for hours by yourself. Is that true?
That's true. And yeah, I was by myself, and so there was nobody else there. So I wasn't breaking any rules, right?
Yeah. So I think sometimes I went there, our group is the only group, and sometimes that might be 2, 3 group, and then we will have 10 to 20 people. So it depends. Overall, I say it's very friendly compared to ocean surfing. Another question is, what is tour? I have mentioned this once. Warren, do you want to explain to everyone what's tour?
Taking the tour.
Yeah.
Well, if you're on the wave and you're able to get on the wave and surf the wave, ideally what you want to do is you want to, let's say you can start at the far end of the wave and make a left turn and come flying back across the face of the wave and just get right back into that eddy line, into that back eddy. And that way you don't take the tour. If you don't do that, if you get broached off and you're going off the end of the wave, you are going to take the tour and you're going to go downstream quite a bit. And when you're down there, you cannot like cut, see the rock and just angle back to it, because you're just fighting the water. And the only way to get back is to paddle straight to the shore, paddle square to the shore, and then there's a nice back eddy and you can come right back. And so that's the tour. And typically, if you're there for your first time, you're going to find out what the tour is. And, I wanted to say this about the etiquette. If you're there on your first time and you're having a hard time figuring it out and you haven't figured it out yet, and you're getting broached off, when you get back, you do not have to wait your turn. Everybody will encourage you. Just go ahead, just go ahead and try it again. And so that's what you need to do. You need to be very aggressive.
Yes. And I think I'm a aggressive kayaker. Anyway, in this picture, like what I'm showing here is a GPS tracking of my Skook activity, and I wrote the software to analyze my track, and you can see there's 5-2. I took like the big blue loop at the bottom that's showing like the 5-2 I took during that day, and the longest one is 7.5 minutes. So the entire tour take me 7.5 minutes to paddle, and it's around 600 meters. And this is a video showing me that I'm taking the tour. So you can see I was in a small kayak, very far away from the eddy. Like people have to zoom in. Okay, let me keep going. What's next? So, okay, this is the interesting question. What is your scariest experience at Skook? Have you swim Skook, or what make you nervous? So I'm going to ask Roland first. What's your scariest experience? Could you share with us?
Yeah. Okay, first of all, I've never swam at Skook. And I was there one time, and I got knocked off. I took the tour. I came back, and there was these 2 guys I was with, and they were just sitting there in the eddy line, in the back eddy. And I was just being complacent, and I didn't realize that it was breaking, and it was in full bloom foam pile. And I jumped over that eddy line fence and I was like, oh my God, what's this? And you know, when it's like that and you're in a sea kayak, I was in a valley, Anacortes, and so I immediately just broached right into it, and it will hold you there and it will not let you go. And I was in there for maybe a minute, and it's going to be the longest minute of your life. And then I capsized, and when you capsize, you will drag out. And so that's the only scary experience I've ever had at Skook. And so, you know, in regards to the foam pile, there are a lot of those better sea kayakers, like the guys that can do the big wave. They will go there on a day, you know, like when it's breaking, say, like on a 10 knot day, and it's a pretty good foam pile. They will go there and demonstrate like tremendous skills with their sea kayak and that big foam pile. And you know, that's pretty amazing to watch somebody do that. And so just be careful of the foam pile, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what one of my biggest fear at Skook is to get trapped at the foam pile. And just like in this picture is showing that on the left side I was in a surf kayak, and on the right side I was in a white water boat, both short boat, and I can share with a foam pile video here. So let's go. Of two video show of my longest foam pile surf. I was trapped in the beginning. I tried to get off the wave, but right now I still haven't fun. I'm still, and then a while later I will be able to but this point I will try to get off wave. I go down to the wave. Now I'm deep in the foam pile. Now I got side surfing, I lose control. I was here, and eventually I was able to get off wave without capsize. You can see here I'm trying to jump to the capsize, and this is the tricky thing. Okay, I go back, I will start this is another example of foam piles. But it's super nice, and I was in a kayak. And then at this point, I go back and now I start side surfing, from surfing. At this moment, I still have some control. But once I was on the foam pile, on side surfing, I didn't control my movement rather than just side surfing. Pick the position, hold my place, not capsize. So eventually, for this ride in 1.5 minutes, I was still there. And then something else tried to join me. I think that also helped me a little bit because I messed around and then capsized. But eventually I fall off the way. So good news is once you capsize, most likely they will let you go. Will not trap you there. Yeah, but I also see sometimes people get trapped in the foam pile and get really nervous, and then they pull the skirt and then they end up swim. So that also happened. So that's one of my scare experience. Is the big foam pile. All right. So next thing I think can scare some people is the boil and whirlpool downstream. This is picture from my GoPro. It's the max flood that day is 9.6 knot. I was powering downstream doing my tour, and you can see on the left side of the image there's a whirlpool there. So sometimes it will spin your kayak around easily. So for swimming, I did have to swim at Skook. So I took both time was in my sea kayak. So I think I have something to share about the safety, the risk at Skook. That day I arrived at Skook at the max flood. I did not arrive at slack, so I did not have time to practice when the wave was small. I jumped into the biggest wave immediately and surf and capsize, and I roll and my rope fell, and I panicked and I pulled the skirt. So I swim. And then it ended up being my longest swim I have ever took. I was in the water for 15 minutes. And the total distance I swim was 1 kilometer because of the current was so fast. It just take me down immediately. Even though I have a safety boater, I have 2 kayakers with me, and they chase down immediately to help me. So I have my boat, I have my paddle, and then somehow we decided to first tow me and my boat to the eddy first. This was not a smart decision, and this decision is what actually contribute to the long swim, because the it's pretty big at Skook, so the eddy is far away, and trying to tow a swimmer in those fast currents, it's very, very slow. So the lesson I learned from this swimming is first, don't arrive at max flood. Give yourself time and definitely dress for swimming. I think the biggest risk at Skook, surfing, paddling at Skook, is hypothermia, because there's no rocks. You won't hit any rocks, so it's much safer than class 3 whitewater kayaking. The risk is swimming, so definitely dress for swimming. And when you capsize, when people swim, try deep water rescue, just like open ocean rescue, self-rescue, or assist rescue, but try to get the person back in the boat as soon as possible. And then you can paddle to the eddy, or you can start to pump water. But definitely don't try to tow them to the shore. That will take a long time. And also, it's not a smart idea to separate the boat and the swimmer. So that's my experience. I think this might be our last questions. So what kayaks do you like for Skook? What's your favorite boat? So maybe we can ask Warren. So the first time I see you, you were in the wooden kayak, right? And
That's right.
so this is your boat. It's called Bijou?
Bijou.
Bijou?
Bijou.
Yes, I think Warren had taken his wooden kayak and iconic Greenland paddle. I think I never see anyone else using Greenland paddle at Skook. It's so graceful. And this one is your Cayenne wooden kayak, and you built both of this. You designed both of this boat yourself, right?
That's correct. And that's the kayak that you paddled when we went to Deception Pass that day.
Yes. Yeah, I think you mentioned you designed this kayak specifically for surf Skook wave, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you can see that like this boat, Warren use has a very big bow, like longer bow and smaller stern. And for Morris, Morris have surfed 2 kayak at Skook, sea kayak and whitewater, and the surf kayak. Morris, could you tell us like the difference?
Well, yeah, that yellow boat, the yellow greenish boat, was supplied by my guide. And it's a Delphin 150, and it's a good beginner's boat, for Skook. It's plastic, and you can bang against the rocks with no problem. I found that spending time in the eddy is not very relaxing. It's actually more energy than being on the wave, because that circulating current takes you back and forth, and then you bump into other kayaks. So there's a trick of just kind of staying in that eddy and waiting your turn. But so ski kayaks were definitely a negative there, being in the eddy. The other kayak, the white one, I got on, I had no practice. I just got on there, and luckily I got on the wave and had a few, maybe 10 or 15 seconds on the wave. So that was a great time. I didn't have any problem getting off either. So I don't have a favorite kayak, but I managed to get to surf that way, both in both boats.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. I can talk about quickly go through my boat, I think because of the time. So over my 6th trip to Skook during last year, I brought 7 boat and surf them at Skook. First boat is NDK Pilgrim. It's a sea kayak. I would not recommend people to take this boat to Skook because it's too narrow and it's very tippy at Skook. So it's not very forgiving. I struggle surfing this boat. And then the second boat I took is the Bullock Access. It's a surf kayak. I think it would be great boat for surfing Skook, but the time I took I wasn't very good yet. So I wasn't able to stay on the wave for a very long time. It's just because my skill wasn't good at that time. The third boat I took is a Mako surf kayak. I think that's the boat when I first able to manage to surf at Skook more than 1 minute. I would say surf kayak, whitewater kayak are much easier to surf at Skook because it's easier to turn and the angle is more forgiving for you. So for me, short boat is easier than long boat. And this picture was taken last time when Morris visited me and we were at Skook together. I bought this surf kayak from Morris. And the next one is Naked Jive. It's a whitewater kayak. I think it's a great boat for surfing Skook, and it actually handles whitewater foam pile pretty well. And then the Jackson Star is the play boat. It's very short. It's actually the boat in the background, and I put it in my office now. It's a great boat for surfing foam pile, for breaking foam pile, and because you can maneuver it more and to keep you sportive, I think it's a good boat for surfing Skook. But at that time, the wave wasn't perfect, so I did not have the opportunity to test it. The Pond Eclipse surf kayak is also a good option for surfing Skook, especially it's plastic, so you don't need to worry about scratch it at Skook. Yeah, here are just some pictures. This is the play boat, and this is the sea kayak, and this one is the Point Eclipse surf kayak, and this is the whitewater boat. So another popular sea kayak choice for Skook, I have seen people, I think Sterling kayak are generally popular here. So Sterling Reflection, Sterling Progression, and are very popular. And then P&H Delphin 150, Aries 150 are also popular, and I see people can serve them pretty well at Skook. Dagger Trotters 14.5 small are also a good boat. So just in general, those sea kayak are good at surfing ocean wave. They are usually also a good option for surfing Skook wave. All right. I don't know whether we want to talk about this. Maybe we can save that for the question answer. I do want to cover this last few bit about the logistic in case people now are thinking about planning their Skook trip. So I do think the paddle to Skook is doable. You don't have to have very good skills as long as you can paddle against some current. Then you are ready to paddle to Skook, and that paddle is beautiful, and you can watch the wave. But if you don't want to paddle, you can hike to Skook. It's a beautiful hike, as you can see in this picture. It's like a rainforest, and then the hike is 4 kilometers one way, and usually take an hour one way. And there's 2 points: North Point to view the ebbing, and the Roland Point to view the flood and watch kayakers surfing. This is the picture of the North Point viewing area. Yeah. And the next thing I want to quickly cover is the lodging option. At Skook, there's lots of lodging option. My first and second trip, I think I went to the Klein Lake recreation site. This is the campsite near Skook, like 20-minute drive. It has no potable water, but it's very quiet and beautiful and in the forest, and there's a lake you can swim as well. It's pretty cheap. And then the next few trip I went to the stormwater camping and cabin, and you have camping option, cabin option, and reasonable price, hot water shower, fresh water toilet, etc. It's in a walkable distance, like 5 minutes from Skook. And then there's some restaurant we went, and some this is my tracking for Skookumchuck. Surf tracker also work for Skook right now, so I'm not going to talk about this and my Skook trip. And the last page is an example our of our last Skook trip, the schedule. Like if you are interested, you can take a look at all this detail. I will share it later. But because of the time, I think I'm going to end the presentation here, and so we can answer some questions people might have. Yeah. Thank you.
Jenny, I see in the chat we have a couple questions. Could you describe any potential dangers other than hypothermia, and are there strainers?
Warren, do you have idea for these questions?
Okay, what was that? I didn't get that. Are there strainers?
Are there any potential dangers other than hypothermia, and are there strainers, sunken trees?
I'm sorry, strainers. That's a sunken tree?
Right.
Oh, no. No, there's no sunken trees. And also, as far as hypothermia, yeah, I'm sure it's possible. But what's interesting to know is, like the water here where I paddle at Deception Pass is cold. And I'm thinking it's the same temperature as what you guys have there on the West Coast down in San Francisco. I don't know. But I do know that the water at Skook, I don't know what the temperature difference is, but it's a lot warmer than here because the water up there, it's a dead-end fjord. It's not like Deception Pass where it goes around Whidbey Island. It's a dead-end fjord. It goes down all the way down the seashell and ends. And so the water just goes back and forth, and it doesn't get exchanged out to the Pacific Ocean where it gets cold. And so the water there at Skook, like if you're doing a lot of rolling, it's very comfortable. It's a lot warmer. So that's something interesting, as far as hypothermia, right?
Yes, I think the water temperature at Skook is similar to the Bay Area from my experience, but Deception Pass is the coldest.
It's very cold.
Much colder than Skook.
Yep.
I think, no, there's no strainer. There's not any strainer sunken tree at Skook. It's very clear and you don't hit the rock. And so for me, it's much safer than like whitewater kayaking at the Class 3 river.
Okay. Tom, we'll have you ask your question, and I think we're going to have to take a break here. And anybody wants to stay during the break and ask questions, that would be fine. But can I also see like a show of hands to react? Thumbs up because great presentation, very thorough, comprehensive, really well done. Thank you, guys. So Tom, you want to ask your question?
So I'm wondering, Warren, about using a Greenland paddle for surfing there. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, Tom, all I can give you is my stock answer. I don't know anything about the Euroblade because I don't use it, and so I just use a Greenland paddle. And as you can see, it seems like it works, right?
Warren, do you see Tom smiling? Thank you, Warren and Morris and Jenny. That was a great presentation.